We're live. Hello. Thank you for tuning into today's episode. With me today is KJ Wong, who is helping others to reach their sales potential by removing the fluff of selling and helping you with differentiating your value. Is there anything else you'd like me to add to that introduction, KJ?
Well, I think you've pretty much said everything that I'm trying to do in my life. I started Awake by 5 a.m. with the intent to help a lot of people learn the real principle of selling. As we both know, there's in the selling arena and the fact that the word exists, people are very nervous about that. And there are a lot of things that is up in the market, or you watch movies about how people sell, and there are a lot of kind of like a misconception of what selling is supposed to be. And so my existence online, and also what I intend to do, is to help people through that understanding of what my personal belief about what selling is.
Okay. So, you know, I guess everybody has a backstory. So what was your life like before you got into sales or before you got into coaching sales?
Ah, well, you're going back a bit. So like I was a researcher. If you're going to, before I officially become a sales rep, I was a neuroscientist, and I work in a neuroscience lab, of course, being an RA. So I started, my supervisor was the one who actually started the business. It's called Newbody. You can't really find it now. They changed their name. And so I was his first employee who actually set everything up. And so I was a scientist, and I love science. And unfortunately, as a lot of people know, science is a tough world, and funding is not strong. Lucky for us, we are a private company. After doing that for quite a long time, I've decided to change. And what really triggered the change was I read this book called Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And it was my investor friend. I mean, I somehow hung around with the right group of people at a right time. And they were two friends, husband and wife. They are financially free. And they always say, I always hang around with them like once or twice a week in their family home. And they would feed me and keep telling me that, dude, you got to read this book. You got to read this book. And, and so they were the one that pushes me to buy my very first investment property. And I did that sight unseen. No one normally do that. And I was just using numbers. And they shoved this book to me first, and they go, look, you got to read this book. And it literally changed my life, because Robert say in his book, if you really want to learn a lot about life, you really need to learn how to sell. And I kind of go, oh my God, like seriously, I've been doing this for a long time, or living long enough anyway. And that resonated with me, so I bought the property first, of my investment property. And then from there, I got thinking, like I think I really seriously need to learn how to sell. And so I decided to change job. I was working for Newbody for quite a long time, and as a general manager. So my dad didn't speak to me for 2 weeks, because he felt that I demoted myself from being a general manager back to account manager. But you know what? Since then, he apologized, and he reckons that the way I talk to people, the way I kind of like engage with other people has improved so much that he was very impressed within like literally 3 months of doing selling. And so he actually spoke to me privately and apologized, which is, if you come from a Chinese background, everyone knows that your father don't apologize much. That's the way it is. And my dad did. And so it is a rare moment of beautiness, like it is just going, wow, like my dad was apologizing to me. That's quite rare. And so it just went from there. So that's the start of my selling career from there.
Okay. Who do you usually work with nowadays?
Well, like I have clients, so agile coaches. There are a couple of companies in the agile scene. So if you're not familiar with agile, I suggest that the people listening to this cast, to check it out, especially great for IT and manufacturing. Very similar to Lean Sigma, but it's just evolved away from that. I also have a lot of startups. So I lecture in university as a guest lecturer in their entrepreneur program. So I've been exposed to a lot of entrepreneurs who are very passionate, seriously passionate about what they do, which I really love. It's very different to when I was a sales manager, leading a team of salespeople, like they're employed. But when you're actually dealing with a lot of entrepreneurs, it's a very different world. Because like if they don't work hard, that's really, they don't get paid. And so it's kind of like a very different mentality. And so I love that. You know, I resonate a lot with that, because when they actually do learn from me, they're not doing it because they have to turn up to work. They do it because they pay me, and they're really ready to go. You know, they really want to know. And one thing that I noticed, that in terms of application, the entrepreneurs that I coach, they apply it. Whereas staff and sales rep and things like that under me last time, it takes a lot longer, and you have to kind of like facilitate all that, and empowerment, you know, and all that is all involved. And a lot of that, that's why a lot of my video posts on LinkedIn talks a lot about kind of like sales leadership, because you need that a lot more in a working environment compared to what I do today. So I have different areas. Website developers, I got those. I've been exposed to industries that I have never thought I would. You know, IT.
Yeah.
I did not know, but they are interested, and they work with me. So yeah, I'm loving it. I'm really loving it since starting Awake by 5 a.m. And that's the name of my company, by the way.
Oh, wow. Wait, so you actually wake up at 5 a.m.?
Yeah.
What time do you go to bed?
About 10:30. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, because whenever people talk about like I wake up at 4:30, I'm like, well, what time do you go to bed? That's crazy, man. But hey, when you like what you do, right?
It is hard. It is hard initially, the first few months, and it is a struggle because like you're not used to that like time clock. But I think the reason why Awake by 5 a.m. was the name that I chose. I wish I chose Awake by 6 a.m., but it's too late now. I've registered my company called Awake by 5 a.m. But there is a reason for that. I think it is the quietest time, 5 a.m., and you can get a lot more done when there's kind of like a lot of quietness, and also the environment outside in the morning at 5 a.m., especially summertime. We have already daylight, you know, in Melbourne where I am, you know, 5:30, daylight already kind of like there during summer. And you can really seriously get a lot done. You can get your exercise, you get a shower and all that, and get prepped for the whole day. And by the time you're kind of like already, you know, halfway in your day doing all the stuff that you're supposed to do, people are just starting to wake up. And I think there is a lot of value in waking up early, to me, hence the name.
That's cool. So, you know, the people that usually work with you, at least on like the individual, like agile coaches or the developers, you know, what problems are they trying to solve when they work with you?
Selling is a very tough gig for a lot of people. You know, like when we're growing up, for most of us, we're not actually trained to understand what's predominantly what selling is. The reality is selling is a life skill. You know, sales skill is a life skill. And I think a lot of people forget that because of the movie they watch, or there's a negative perception of selling as well. Don't forget, yeah, a negative perception, because they've been bombarded with so many crap. And so people are very wary about that. And so they thought that the word selling, or, you know, they're so scared of the word. Whenever they're actually trying to sell, they will say they're not selling. And it frustrates me because you are selling. And they thought that selling has to be a transaction between product and money. You know, it has to have an exchange. It's not. Selling is about you. You're selling yourself to another person, the fact that you're worth it. Yeah. We do that unconsciously every day. Some do it well, some don't do it well. Now, when you're actually trying to transact, exchange, like, you know, from a product or services to money, which is what we do in our job, they become very nervous because they're going to go, oh my God, now I have to behave like those so-called aggressive sellers. I'm one of those sales coach that never believed that aggressive and sellers, the word aggressive selling, they don't exist. This word, I'm not the one who created that word, because selling, to me, the definition of that is to actually reach a mutually kind of like beneficial kind of environment between parties, right? But you never hear me saying exchange of money. Yeah, it's exchange of value. It doesn't always have to be dollars. And a lot of people start thinking that, you know, it has to be exchange of dollars. And that's where they become very nervous. And there's a lot of negative perception about that. And because of their own experience. And I'm trying to remove all that. When I started Awake by 5 a.m., I have two missions in life. Firstly, to convince the world, that's why I'm so active on LinkedIn, that selling, is okay. Like to kind of like remove that negative perception of selling. It's hard work. Everyone are so scared of selling still. And then the second mission that I have is to convince sales rep to stop being an ass. There is a reason why people do not like people who sell to them. Because of them. They're doing it in a mean way, and they have no interest in their customers. And even though they have interest in their customers, their approach shows me they're not interested in the customer. They're doing it in a way that it's always about them rather than it is about the customer. It's always about the customer.
Mm-hmm. Can I ask you this question? So following along that trend, if someone does not know whether or not they're being foreseen as aggressive, how can they start to show that they care more during their sales process or during some consultations?
Well, it is quite simple, really. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, when you listen to someone selling to you, all you need to think about is, are they asking questions or they're telling you what you think you need to know? And every time they actually choose using statement, a lot of it, in when they're actually selling, when they're using so many statements, oh, we're good at this, we're good at that, this is what we're offering, these are the benefits, that is part of selling. I get that. However, when they do it from the word go, right? If they do it from the beginning and they don't even spend the time asking questions about the needs or issues of your customers, that is where the problem is. That is where the hit and miss is. You may be carrying the best product in the world, but if you don't really understand how to shape your conversation to only discuss the features and benefit of your offering that actually resonate with the customer directly, chances are it is going to be a hit and miss exercise, as simple as that. And you're going to have to call 1,000 people just to get one or two, because the customers are just not resonating. Like, what is in it for me? Like you tell me what is in it for me, but what you tell them is an average of what you think it will be useful for your customer, but not really useful for that particular customer. It needs to be very specific, And Bryce, we talked about this earlier, that no one likes to be sold to, but everyone wants to be helped.
That's a great point. Good point. I'm debating about whether we should elaborate a little bit more on that for the people watching, or I think that was pretty self-explanatory at the end. No one wants to be sold to, but so let me ask you this, right? What part of asking questions, I think a good skill is qualification, right? The overall skill of qualifying people. Can you talk a little bit more about, how to do that so that you're not a person on LinkedIn, sending a random message to someone at 3 a.m. in the morning talking about, do you want to buy a cruise to Jamaica?
Or crypto. Okay. So if you're really genuinely interested in someone, it has to be the core. You really can't sell correctly and you can't engage with people really well if all you want at the back of your mind is to make money out of this. Money is important. I get that. But it is your intent, your approach. What is in your mind when you approach someone, If your intent is always going to be, hey, you know what, I really want to help this particular person and help them grow and things like that, because their success is my success. If you have that intent, the way you actually approach a completely different. Like it just switch, your mind switches, right? And if you're able to actually convince yourself that your interest is the person or prospect that you're approaching, then the whole game changes. You're no longer really interested in what you offer, like what you actually have. That is never going to be in your mind anymore. That will be removed. Literally, you'll be distracted with what can I learn about this customer? What are some of the challenges that they have? What are the gaps they're trying to satisfy, and how they're doing it right now, whether it's successful or not, and whether they want to improve or not. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you and I know that there are a lot of people out there who has problems, but they are really never have any intent to solve it. They just want to see in this problem. I'm not sure whether they are aware they have, you know what, whether they're aware of this problem or not, or a problem or not, that is a matter of perception, really. However, as someone who's trying to offer their service or sell, your job is to kind of like bring up the issue and highlight the fact that, it is an issue. And hopefully they resonate with that. And you know what, if you do your job well and really start to converse with your customer, not telling them, everything that you're good at, but actually start to go, really fully understand what your actual issue is. At the end of the day, it is an issue and they know it. And it is a matter of going, okay, what is in it for me that you're going to help me that will solve my issue? Because the next level part of that, once they acknowledge there's an issue, is whether your ability to go, can I trust you enough that you will help me solve it? Because that trusting is being built while you're having a conversation with the customer, especially your prospect, before they become your customer. So if you handle that really well, then the rest of the sales process generally will take care of itself. Generally, I'm not saying it's always, but it generally will take care of itself.
So let me ask you this. So a question popped in my mind, right? So if you're listening to a call, right, and you find out that the client has a problem, and since you've been doing coaching for a while, the problem is A, but in their mind, they think that the problem is B. Do you try and explain to them that the real problem is A, or do you how would you proceed with that? They think it's B, it's A.
There's always something called perception gap. I write a bit about that as well. So perception gap means that everyone has it. So what is in the person's mind or your customer's mind may be very different to what is in your mind. And not only that, what's in your customer's mind, say he's a decision maker, may be different to his staff mind. Don't forget that. Everyone has opinions in any organization. And so the ideology is like what you're trying to find out in the earlier stage of the sales call is probably want to focus on their priorities. Yeah, the priorities in, okay, there is a problem. In any organization, there are a lot of problems. There's always problems. And they're trying to solve. They want to make more sales, or, make more sales is just a word, but is there a reason why they're not making it in the first place, right? There are so many reasons behind that. And so as a sales coach, if I'm actually offering my sales training coaching to them, I would like to understand, okay, sales are not going well, but that is just a surface level problem. My next question generally is, why do they think they are having that problem? I will actually be asking around all that, going, is it because of the staff? Is it because of your sales process? Is it because your CRM is crap? Or you don't even have a sales process? Or maybe leadership? Yeah, sales leadership is one of the most common faults in why sales rep quits, right? Or not successful. And there's even training. I'll look at, are you guys even training your staff how to sell? A lot of companies think that by training people their product features and benefits, have a folder about this bloody thick, 20,000 videos, and they throw their their team out into the field, go out and sell. They're dreaming. It's a massive misconception, because there is a big difference between product training, just learning the product, the feature and benefits, and your customers' needs, and based on a booklet that you created, to sales training. They're different. They're not related to each other. They can be used for each other if you understand how to use them together. But if you only do one side of training in any organization, the other side, which is specifically sales training, is a lot more involved, because now you're talking about psychology. And that is something that you need to be exposed to more often. And a sales manager's job is to teach new recruiters, especially people who have never been selling before, the understanding of how to react based on the reaction of the customer. How do you respond to them? Not just about, hey, just keep telling them about our product until the cows come home. They will not listen, because you miss the whole kind of like concept of selling. I hope that makes sense. I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible. This is what I'm trying to do.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate when you keep things simple because it just makes things, easily digestible. Like we were talking about, video content the other day and about why some people have trouble standing out. I think you were saying something about when you make videos, they're done in a specific way that allows you to stand out, correct? Can you go into depth about that?
Sure. So look, like I do not want to be known as a LinkedIn expert. I will only tell you what my experience is. And certainly when I post, I only post content that is my experience. I don't read this stuff. I don't go to another book and try to copy, slabs of their word or things like that. And just kind of like produce things that I have never personally experienced. Okay. So you're talking about selling and sales leadership, sales process, right? These are the three areas that I dedicated my whole career in. Okay. And everything that I've posted so far are real experience, because when I actually write what I'm going to post, I always have to reflect upon this particular event in my sales career. And then I actually write about that. And my blog actually are actually my diary. They are my diary. They know kind of like, oh, I'm going to talk about, I'm going to find something from Napoleon Hill and it's trying to shove it in there and kind of like, I've never experienced this before, but I'm going to write as if I have. That's never going to work. And people can tell that you're creating models based on other people's models rather than creating models based on your real experience that that actually work for yourself. Yeah. And that gives you that confidence that whatever that the models they create, that is the process that you actually followed. That is the process that you taught your sales team, and you also see the actual success that they're actually achieving. So when you actually start posting things like that, then people will resonate with you a lot more. Now, because English is my second language, I try to, when I post, I try to minimize my sentence structure, like, or at the length, and try, I'm not I would say I'm not the best at it still. I'm still learning how to do that. But what I can tell you is, like, whatever I post, when you watch my post, is very short sentences. I allow people to reflect on what I say, and then I move on with the next sentence. And a lot of my uh, clients and prospect as well on LinkedIn who actually approach me generally are, English is the second language, and they resonate with me because they even message me. I get a lot of messages from them telling me, thank God that, you're not talking really fast, and you also keep everything short and concise. And some of the concepts are so easy that they actually can apply it immediately when they watch my post. They can just apply it. And I'm very open to share my experience on LinkedIn and on my sales library. I'm more than happy to do that, because sales has, helped me in my life so much that I think it is time for me to give back. It is my way of giving back. I mean, people employ me to do training their sales team and things. I get all that. I mean, that's nice. At the end of the day, the objective is always about giving back. And I've demonstrated that by posting, I think, about 180 plus video posts right now. And I post every day, right? Every day. And I wrote about close to 30 blogs. And those are much more detailed about sales skills and CRM and, moving many area, covering all aspect of selling for an organization. If anyone want to, who is interested to how to create a sales department from scratch, if they take the time to read the blogs and things like that, they'll get that kind of like experience of going, oh, this is how I did it. It's one way of doing it. I'm not saying the only way of doing it. And I've enjoyed the benefit of it.
Okay. So in addition to, you were talking about, you have your three main things that you like to focus on. We were talking about, helping people differentiate their value in an attempt to stand out. So can you talk
That's
about that a
interesting.
little bit? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I have some followers right now on LinkedIn, and very often that when you connect to people, still there's a lot of followers and connections, and you're getting more and more of that as you get kind of like more connections. And very often that they will actually direct message me to sell to me. I mean, in fact, the funny thing is, they are so often that I receive something. Hey, I'm not selling to you, but here's my company's profile. Here's what I do and think, but I'm not selling to you. When they write something like that, I have mixed emotion. I used to get really a bit cheesed off because I am actually a sales coach. I'm going, oh, seriously? The funny thing is, like, I can't help it because I read. Whenever someone email me, no matter whether they cut and paste the whole slab of this crap, I will read it because I can't help it. I read it and go, okay, that is, thank you. Like, I would acknowledge it. I always respond. I respond close to 100%, unless my direct message is so many people. If I post something really cool, you'll be surprised how many direct message I get. Like, people, things get buried, and I'll spend a whole day acknowledging, thank you for sending me your sales stuff, or you're trying to sell to me. I'll acknowledge it. But the thing is, there are times when I do have time, I would actually make a comment of going, how is that working out for you? And 99% of the time when they direct message me, not very good. And the reason why they're not very good is because it's not about the content that they write. They cut and paste, which is a wrong thing to do.
Yeah.
It's their approach. They couldn't differentiate themselves from anyone else who would do the same thing to do the cut and paste, right? And there is a commonality. There's a commonality with cut and paste script. I call it script. When they approach me or other people on LinkedIn or any other social media or whatever it is that there is not once in whatever they write, especially the long ones, ask, who the hell am I? What do I do? What are challenges I have? In fact, do I even have challenges in my business? What do I worry about? If you're selling SEO to me, the first thing you would do is maybe look at my website, right? And maybe make some comments about that. Hey, Cage, I saw your website. It's pretty cool. Or, hey, I see that, do something, say something along like, I like this and that, and say, hey, what are your feel about your website? Who created it? I mean, if someone actually write that to me, I would just respond straight, like, with a lot of heart going, oh, cool, this person actually are interested in me. I don't care. Your customers really, when you first approach people don't really care about what you do, who you are, what your company does, what your company is good at, and how much money you can make from it. No one is interested in that. But you'll get much more engagement if you come out with asking about the person that you're engaging with. Do some research. The other thing that a lot of people miss on LinkedIn, especially LinkedIn, which I'm really surprised of, LinkedIn is an amazing tool, right? And the reason for that is this. When you're about to approach someone, won't you think you want to do some research about your customer? And if that is the case, LinkedIn is the best platform for that, because most people will put a lot of stuff, literally their whole resume on LinkedIn in most cases. And you can actually start thinking about, okay, this person have done this and these are their experience and things like that. Why don't you start with that? Yeah. And the other thing, there's a lot of people on LinkedIn, like a lot of coaches, which I listen to, they're making kind of like giving so many free tips out there. And one of them that should resonate with people is do some background research, use LinkedIn to do that. And then if they post, if when you're actually doing your studying their profile, some of them actually post a lot, especially your prospect, they do post. Why don't you look at their posts? The last 10, last 20. I mean, some of these posts are very short anyway. It only take you like what? To do research on LinkedIn nowadays, to be honest, will take me about 2 minutes. And I would know everything that they post. I would know everything about, like what they actually wrote on LinkedIn. Like, those things are superficial level at the moment, but you know what? At least you're doing that background check, and then you kind of use that information to approach your customer, right? Rather than just cut and paste who you are when nobody is interested. I'm a very polite person. I would say thanks. But in most cases, other people will ghost you. And that's not good. You haven't even started selling yet, or haven't even kind of like promoted your brand yet. Your prospect is already kind of like remember that brand, And in their mind, they say, I will not buy from this person. And you're creating that sort of scenario for your brand. You're doing more damage to your brand when you cut and paste than not. And that's where the risk is.
So let me ask you this, right? So here's something that it's almost like the copy and pasters are in two sort of groups. There's actually three. The ones who give you the major paragraph and it just has like 50,000 links in it. But then there's the other ones that do short stuff, you know? So it's like, and then the third group is like the people who kind of personalize it, but you can still tell it's copy and pasted. So talk about utilizing that process you just talked about, but coming with a different intent. So the intent is not just to find out how to copy and paste better. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So look, LinkedIn and social media branding and things like that, you know, what differentiate you from another LinkedIn companies and supplier is really about how you approach, really, at the end of the day. You know, I even think that, oh, my product is unique. That's my different factor. Yeah. That's part of the whole story. But I think your approach and being genuine is allowing people to see who you are. You know, everyone is different. We all know that. But the worst thing is you cut and paste. People all have been bombarded with cut and paste. We know this. And so being a bit more personalized and with your approach, even in your very first or second, if you're really interested to sell with that to the individual, you need to be a lot more personalized about that. You know, you need to actually wanting to show the other person that you are interested to find out a bit more about the other person's company or business. Now, look, having said all that, there are a lot of reasons why people jump on LinkedIn. Not everyone on LinkedIn want to sell. Yeah, let's be clear about that. No, they're not there to. Some of them just want to grow their network. Some of them just want to kind of like be happy to have a lot of likes and things. You know what? I never once commented that's a bad thing. I never say to that, oh, don't do that. You know, LinkedIn you should be using it for just a specific. No, you know, it's almost a cross between professional and social media, social platform. It's in the between. Yeah, LinkedIn has become both, and I'm fine with that. You know, it's okay. People are different, and that's what you use for. However, when you're actually trying to promote your brand or promote your business and things like that, like you want.
1 second. Say it one more time. It froze for a quick second.
Oh, okay. Where was I?
In between personal and business network.
Okay, so when you are a lot more personal, right? When you talk about if you actually talk about a lot of your products to start off with, thinking that your product is different and that's what people will buy. But you know, the problem is, yes, it is important to have your service and product to be different. That's important. I get all that. However, when you're approaching a prospect, being unique as an individual who actually genuinely care, actually in itself is a differentiating factor. The way you ask question is the what I coach my client is the ability to ask the right question at the right time. Yeah, that is what people come to me for. A lot of people know how to sell. I get all that. Over time, you want to get someone who would listen like me to actually kind of be like a sounding board. I would be, you know, the way our training works in the role play, there's a lot of role play in my training. They will be asking questions to try to sell to me, and I would ask why they would ask that question. And often enough, they have no idea why they ask that, because it is such a, you know, they're not well practiced or things like that. And they're not listening to their customers really well either, because it is, you know, a lot, when I actually post active listening, right? The unfortunate reality is everyone will say, yeah, I know what active listening is. Even my client, I would say, okay, what is active listening? Everyone seems to know what active listening is, you know, listen better, listen more. But the funny thing is, when you actually ask them to apply it, I would say, okay, sell me this pen right now using active listening. Did you know that 99.999% have an, they don't know how to active listen when they're selling me a pen? Which is the really strangest thing. And I have a feeling that they only read the word active listening in dictionary and hear it from someone else. And to, you know, the word association with their mind is make sure you listen and say nothing. That's not what active listening is. If you actually work with life coach or all these coaches around the world, some contribution to the conversation as part of active listening. And a lot of that is the question they ask based on what the client just say. If you are actually listening to what they say, then you will be very curious. Remember the front part, Bryce? I say you have your intent has to be genuinely interested. Well, if you are genuinely interested, you won't be using a lot of statement. I can tell you that. Because if you, even in a dating scene, right? Everyone knows that if a guy, mostly guy, talks a lot about themselves and they're all statements, right? I mean, when you say talk a lot about themselves, that simply means they just keep talking and there's no question in there, right? The girl will not be interested because, hey, you're only self-absorbed, self-absorbed man, and you're not even interested in me. The reality is, in a customer relationship with a sales rep relationship, it's like dating. It's really like dating. It's similar. I'm not a dating expert, but I'm saying the process is exactly the same. Is that if you're really interested in someone, what do you do, Bryce? If you're interested in someone, a girl or someone else, right?
Ask
A
some
date,
questions.
right? You ask a lot of questions, right? Because the other person will feel what? When you're asking them a lot of questions, the other person will feel what? You are
interested.
Why is it so hard for people to understand that?
Probably, shit. Probably because they're scared they're going to go off script.
Look, script is useful when you are inexperienced. When you're first learning how to sell, I mean, there was this guy, Jimmy Pan, told me, that's what he does when they learn. I mean, I did the same. When I first learned how to sell, script is important. Because script is like a safety blanket.
Yeah.
However, as you get more and more experience, the script will be the worst thing you can do for yourself, because what are you gonna, which part of that are you learning of selling? Because selling is about active listening, about knowing what to ask and what to say. But if you're constantly sticking to script, then you're really confined to this way of selling, which is a big no-no for me. Look, you can be learning how to sell from me directly, Bryce, but I always encourage you to be yourself. It means the skill that I teach you is going to be integrated into your skill. However, you still need to be yourself. Otherwise, when you're reading script, very often that your personality kind of like is not there. But if you actually learn, when you're learning how to sell, well, the word learning means that how do I integrate my own personality, right, into the way I engage my customer in a way that they will engage with me. That is part of the sales skill that we learn. And a lot of people miss that. And that's where I come in going, dude, when you want to learn how to sell well, you don't have to change your personality, for God's sake. Yeah. You are still you. The difference is you only have to understand the core principle of selling. How you approach it at the end is really up to you, because you are you. And I think a lot of people are scared of selling is because they do not want to, they fear that the moment they become a sales rep, they are the dark force of evil. That's not true. Most sales reps are genuine people who really, most people, I use the word most people. It's most sales rep. They really care. My reps that I've trained, right, over the years of my career as a manager, I would say 9 out of 10, they do give everything for their customer. In fact, they will sacrifice more about their own personal life for their customer that anyone have known. Yeah. And part of that is because of the culture that you create. When you do care, when your sales manager do care for the people, not just about the budget, okay, they actually go, hey, are you actually helping that customer properly? If the question comes like that, right, not just about the sales rep culture in the team will be, we have to help the customer. Yeah. And a lot of them, we lost some money for 1 or 2 sales and things like that, hopefully not too often. It's because certain things happen and we care. We just do everything we can to make sure that the customer can keep going with their work. If you have that sort of intent, people will start trusting you in your industry just with the intent of how you do things. And that's what differentiates you. It's no longer just about product. If a product that is always different, right, it's different and unique, and that is the only way to that is the only thing that people buy, well, you know what? are going to be biased. It means that only subset of product will sell and the rest won't. Well, that doesn't happen. You got Samsung, you got Apple, you got all these products had different features and benefit, right? So they all approach different things for the different people, personality and taste. As a rep, you need to be adaptable. And that differentiates you from anyone else if you are listening to your customer. It's just in the listening bit and active listening, how you actually ask and really solve their problems. That is my personal belief about selling.
Okay. Can we talk about, here's interesting thing, right? So I think that, one thing that a lot of people get scared of is the closing aspect. Can you talk a little bit about that? I don't know if you practice specific closes, or how do you approach closing?
Closing is, of course, something that is difficult for people. They're asking for the actual sales itself. And I think most people that I know believe that once they've finished the sales call, there are many different, Bryce, there are many different industry. Okay, there's retailers all the way to things that I sold in the past is forensic equipment. Yeah, and the customer has decision process themselves. As a rep, you need to understand that decision process. When you're trying to close the moment that you finish your sales conversation in different industry, well, you know what? Good luck with you, because some of the product could be about over 100K, half a million, a million, right? 2, 3 million, 100 million. At the end of your sales call, you're going to close $100 million sales at the end of that. Well, you know what? If someone actually have $100 million stack on their desk right there and then, sure, they'll push that money across the table. But you know what? Let's be realistic. In many industries, that does not happen. However, in the retail and grocery and stuff like that, or retail like, I don't know, electronic shops and things like that, the transaction is faster, right? So the closing bit will be a lot more kind of like shorter. So sales, firstly, depending on which industry you're in, you have to understand the closing bit is different to every different industry.
Okay.
Closing, sure, go on.
Just to cut you off, just to make it easier for you to give an example. Let's say it's like you closing like a coach or something, a very short sales cycle, maybe 2-3 calls. Can you talk about that?
Sure. So, I mean, the biggest misconception a lot of people is like, oh my God, how do you close? I get a lot of that question. It's been asked quite a lot of time. You know what? How I answer it? How did you go in the actual rest of the sales process?
Yeah.
Yeah. My reps always kind of like, oh, KJ, it's such difficulty trying to get this sale. It's a machine, it's an instrument. I say, okay, let me work on it. What did you ask the customer? You notice I'm going backwards?
Yeah.
If you do a bad job asking all the questions that you need to ask to find out about your customer at the start, your intro is crap, right? You miss information. You have no idea why your customer would even use your instrument. And it has become a price war because it's just about price. Really? Is it really? It's about value. There's no such thing as about price. It's about value and budgetary timing. If you have none of that information during a sales call, how are you going to close?
Yeah.
How? So if you really want to close, why don't you fix up all the front beat first before you come to me and tell me and ask me for a magic bullet, that 1 word or 2 sentence that everyone will throw their money at you? That doesn't happen. The reality is, to answer your question of how to close, well, fix the front bit. The people, the customer, will actually buy it themselves.
Yeah.
Because they are quite kind of understanding it. You know what? I trust you because of the question you asked. It sounds like you have the experience that you can actually help me, especially the sales coaching bit. And they actually trust that if I palm my reps to you, right, I would know for a fact that you will look after them in my best interest. That comes from the front, not from the close. So there is a saying, I remember someone from LinkedIn, I can't remember who it is, you close at the front. What that simply means is you do everything you can to build that confidence in the customer, not by the statement, that's part of it, but it's also the question you ask. Because if you're very good at selling, it is pretty much what I focus on is the quality of the question you ask. Because you and I know, the higher the quality question you ask at the front end of the sale, the higher the quality of the answers you're going to get from the customer. And that is always been a mantra for selling, which I'm not sure why people miss that as well. And then when it comes to closing, people are ready by then. And so you need to position the customer in order, for them to be ready to buy from you. That's the first point. That's just the first point. The second point is timing. Sometimes they want to buy, but now is not the right time. Look at where we are at the moment. The global, all shutting down. But the thing is, a lot of your customers still want to buy. It's just the timing is wrong. Now, some businesses evolve by selling through Zoom and online or this other kind of like method of sell, like transaction and training. They can provide that. But you know what? Most businesses are not there yet. And so they're trying to transition across. But that would take about 2 or 3 years, especially large organization, right? Bigger the company, the harder it is for them to move. So whatever it is, like sometimes customers are not ready to buy, but that's okay. That's not a no. It's just not yet. And when you're closing, it doesn't mean that you have to get the sale now. This is where the CRM and all the sales process needs to be tight. See, closing is just part of the whole, just one step in many steps. A lot of people think that they close, that's the end of it. No, it doesn't. There's a concept of cycle by cycle, a path that there is a journey, but it goes in circle. So I personally believe that a lot of people think that closing is the most important. Not really. It's actually the period between their purchase and the next purchase. That's the important bit. If you really want to close better, the period between when they actually did buy and the period when they're going to buy another one, that period, that is more important than the actual sales call itself. Because if your service is crap, when something goes down, like, your company are not able to provide the service and your customer get really annoyed, what do they do? What do they do, Bryce? When something goes wrong and they need some technical information and you never get back to them, what will happen to that relationship over time?
They get a little bit annoyed and they don't re-sign up with you.
That's what's going to happen. That's the reality of it. People focus so much on sale, on the close, right? It's so important. I need to make money now, but they don't understand that their existing customer, that they don't do the follow-up. They don't actually chat with them, how things are going and whether whatever solution they offer is actually doing well for them. They never even bother checking that. Well, you know what? That's where your next close will be next to impossible.
Yeah. Where can people find out more about you? I know you have the really in-depth sales library. So how can they learn more about you in that?
So my website is www.awakeby5am.com. And you also can find that link in my LinkedIn profile. And very often that every time I post in the comment, I would actually write, here's a link to my website, here's a sales library. As you navigate through that, you can find me. And you know what? If you're on LinkedIn, I'm on LinkedIn every day, right? Just direct message me. Don't be shy. To me, I'm more than happy to have a quick chat with anyone. And if you look at some of the endorsement in terms of what people write, those are the people I've been helping. And there's building up a bit of a list of people that, at the end of the day, if I can give them one gem that they can take away, that made my day, and because it made their day. And that's the attitude that I have approaching LinkedIn. So don't be shy. Just message me. If you do need me to check on something, don't send me a cut and paste on everything like that. I will have a look, but seriously, it is also a business as well, right, Bryce? So be respectful, and I respect you enough to help you, but you have to respect me as well, not to give everything for nothing. That's not fair. I think there are some expectation that that coach is supposed to give everything for. No, I don't think so, because that's the value. The value is, if you're really seriously about wanting to know or learn how to sell correctly and also improve your ability to engage with your customer in a conversational manner, by all means, contact me. And we work together like that.
Sounds great. If you guys are trying to spell his name, it's going to be tagged either in the post above, but right underneath his picture is KJ space WONG. Typed it into the LinkedIn search bar. He's going to pop up, and you guys are going to be able to get some great content. Thanks so much for appearing on today's episode. I really appreciate your knowledge, expertise. I have about a page. Always great talking.
That's fun. I had a lot of fun, Bryce. You're awesome, mate, and good luck with your video cast. You're a great guy, and I reckon there's a lot of success. I can see there's going to be a lot of success in what you do, and good luck with that. Stay healthy and well, buddy.
Oh yeah, you too. Stay healthy. Yeah.
Take care.
Guys, thanks so much for watching to this point. If you guys want more great interviews just like this from experts who are very great at what they do, I recommend you go check out the link either above or below, which is a link to my free group called Uncapped Growth Strategies. Have a great day, guys. Talk to you soon. See you later.